Hello viewers, welcome to this episode of the Youth Roundtable. You'll understand why for the third time in a row we are talking about the massive corruption in this country. Because on the Youth Roundtable, we believe that corruption is one of the big issues that this country is grappling with, on top of course, many others. So that's why we once again shine a spotlight on the issue of corruption. A country that cannot finance its national budget and finds itself borrowing both domestically and from foreign institutions like the IMF and World Bank, to a tune of more than half of its financial budget, is mad or finds itself in gross corruption. To make things worse is that the political leadership seems to be condoning this kind of action. The country was shocked last week when the Speaker of Parliament, while addressing people in Luengo, said that there is no issue with Honorable Semuju getting money illegally as long as she eats it back with her people. Now, this is very problematic. The same statement was supported by Honorable Chinyamatama, and Ugandans really were so angry, and that is why today we shall discuss whether it is doomsday when it comes to corruption in Uganda. Viewers, I'm joined by a panel of immaculate young people that I shall introduce to you, and in no particular order. From the East African Institute of Management is its guild president and a member of the Yellow Youth Movement, Richard Onencan. We are happy to have you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kidega, our host, and the Civic Space TV at large. I want to thank you for inviting me here, and I'm very happy to discuss this particular issue of corruption. Gulo send greeting, and the East African Management Science also send greeting. I'm the guild president and also the member of the YYM. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Richard. Next to Richard is Grace Nuwahereza. Grace is the guild speaker at Mountain of the Moons University. Grace, we're happy to have you.
Thank you so much, Comrade Kidega. I'm glad to be here and glad to meet my fellow panelists and the moderator and the entire Civic Space team, plus the viewers out there. Thank you so much.
All right, you're welcome. Richard, let me just begin with you. The speaker, her statement in Luengo. Is the fight over for us in terms of corruption?
Yeah. First, I want to air out my disappointment on the speaker's remarks in Luengo. It's as if the speaker has been briefed how far the case has reached and what will come after the case. And also, it tells us clearly that the speaker is now, I think, telling the president what to do of late. Because if the other day the president was giving his side, and here comes a speaker in a big crowd, like in Luengo, defending the corrupt, then I also believe that the speaker now even does not fear the president, to be honest. Secondly, the speaker also knows that corruption has been an engine in the government, and we cannot fight it of late, because it is like, I think she's trying to prove a point to herself that she can also make a certain decision on behalf of the head of the state. Because by assuring the people of Luengo that the Honorable will be the MP forever, it really tells you that I think the speaker, she has looked into this case that these MPs are remanded on, and there will nothing that will take place on them. Because I was expecting her to go in Luengo and actually tell the people of Luengo that you see the type of leaders you have voted in. See what they are doing in parliament. They are the one making our parliament being mocked at. I was expecting that from the speaker. So it was so disgusting that, again, she's defending them, and she's very happy, and also making a statement. You know the money she brought there, I think. The money is coming from the father, from the son. That was her statement. So the fight in corruption, I think we just thought of it now, and we are not going to do much about it, unless there are two things that me, Richard, I look at. One, you know, in Uganda, corruption is not a risky business. Okay? Someone can steal any money and nothing can take place on that passion. The clear example I can bring to you, the PRD fund for Northern Uganda and the former Prime Minister. The case was brought, the case went mute like that. Now it tells you that even people who, maybe someone that has been brought from FDC to NRM, that has been 2 years in the NRM or 3 years in the government, like the speaker, she can come and she can support corruption openly, she can actually practice corruption openly, because she has been actually witnessing that in the government, corruption was the engine, corruption was existing. So she has no doubt and she has no fear to practice corruption, even more the way she's doing. And also, if the corruption issues in Uganda has been put a risky business, then you'll see people having the fear. But if someone is taken to court, the speaker come out, or anybody in the government come and actually tells the whole world or the whole public that, you know, these guys, they're going to come out and they're going to be MP forever. So it tells you that it is not a risky business. Anyone can do it. And actually the young people are also watching this, and the young people are actually being inspired that if I get opportunity, I think I can also steal. And the young people that are now being inspired by the old speaker of a country, I think if given the opportunity, they'll do more worst than the speaker. Because you know the status of these young people. You know where they're coming from, really.
True.
And if they're trusted with the resources, they can do more worst. Because now, the president has been now established by the people that should be mentors, that should actually guide and actually tell the young people that, you know, it is wrong to do corruption, it is wrong to embezzle this public fund. If corruption in Uganda is not put as a risky business, Kidega, we shall be here discussing this and nothing will take place. Secondly, I want also to tell you that corruption in Uganda is actually, it is now systematic. It is the system. It is the system, and also it is infrastructural. If you look at many of these people who steal, either they are stealing to prepare for the next future, and actually the issues of corruption is more rampant because I think the 2026 is nearing. People are preparing for their future election, and they say, yeah, I need to get this amount, I need to have this, such that during campaign, I'll be having opportunity to actually use a lot of money, because this money, the person got from the government, and protecting the position or the seat the person is going to vie for. The reason why I brought the aspect of systematic, if we still have the L system in Uganda as poor as it is, as Kidega, you are sick and you have been taken to a referral hospital, and from referral hospital they transfer you to Gulo Independent, who is a private, who is more stronger than referral. I believe many of these people, they are stealing to facilitate their health facility and their health services. Why? Because they have no faith in the health system of the country. Unless the government and the president start putting priority that the health system is going to be managed by the state, well equipped, doctors are placed and they're paying high money, then they will not go and open a drug shop, they will not go and open a pharmacy,
or even
and
a private school.
Yes, or even private school. So it will tell you that if a doctor or if a speaker is sick, a speaker will run to Gulo Referral Hospital because the standards are the same. We have even doctors that are qualified there. everything is there. But if we still have the kind of the health system we have and the structures we have, people will still to see that their health services are okay. Even in education, look at the government school we have. People are running to private school that are well established, and ask yourself, many of these private schools, the owners are people who are in a deep state. Look at Bukedia, he started. It's a private school, it's not a government school. And if you look at Bukedia government school, which is there, or any school in Bukedia that is run by the government, you are going to see the quality of the school and the state of the school is different from the one of the government. So we'll tell you that the president needs to do a lot in actually revising and also elevating the status of our health system, also elevating the status of our education system and the infrastructures at large. Yeah.
Thank you very much. That was a very elaborate submission. Yes, Grace, your own take about what the speaker said, but also generally the fight against corruption.
Thank you so much. Once again, Comrade Kidega. Corruption has not started today. Corruption has been in place for some good time. And first and foremost, I would like to differ from what my comrade Richard is saying, that these people are stealing because they are either desperate or they are stealing for survival, like you're saying. I think this has been an aspiration from the people that have come before them. Because when we take time and look back, we realize that corruption has been in place from time to time. For example, in 2012, when the money was stolen worth 12.7 billion from the Prime Minister's office, look back at last year, the issue of the iron sheets and all that, and now here we are. So I don't think that the government officials are desperate. That's why they are stealing, or that's why they are embezzling, or whatever you call it, but it all comes back to corruption. Because if they are desperate to that extent, then what should the normal people below, the poor, what should they do? So I have a feeling that there is a lot of impunity when it comes to these government officials. That is to say, there is nothing that has been done. They are caught. We never see them being really answerable for their deeds. And so it inspires the people that come over, because they are like, come on, this so and so took and this amount, but nothing happened to him or her. So you see the chain continues to grow. And we could say it's becoming, we can term it as a doomsday for Uganda, though it may sound exaggerated, but we see that it is continuously a challenge that is affecting us as a country. And me as a youth, I feel like that they're making us desperate. And whatever is going to come out of that, they shouldn't blame it on us. For example, if we look at the youth in Kenya, what they are portraying, they have been squeezed to that level. And so they have to devise means on what to do next to revive the country. Because if the people that we are supposed to look after are really tarnishing the country, then what of us who are coming on board, who are taking the footsteps, what should we do? So I feel like it is becoming too much. And of course, this is our country. We can't say that there is nothing that can be done about it. I feel like if everyone comes on board, if people are sensitized and they devise means on how people can be answerable for their actions, then it would be easier to at least regulate. I might not say get rid of, because, come on, it has really developed. But at least if it can be regulated, or if they can instill fear into people to believe that if I embezzle the public funds, there will be a penalty for it. It will reduce this exaggeration of corruption that we are seeing. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, really penalties.
So, Richard,
yes,
corruption is both a moral
and
a criminal issue.
Yeah.
There are moral connotations attached to it. But you see, morals are inherently given to us from at the family level. But also, institutions like religious institutions also inculcate an aspect of morals in the population. Now, about, I think a month ago, the president was addressing somewhere. So there was a priest, actually, if you recall, who told the president that, President, now my car is old, and you know, elections are coming up next.
I want to be
now, that is the standard of our some of our religious leaders who are supposed to be preaching against corruption and against things that are not accepted in society, but they are part and parcel of the process. So just how bad is corruption, but also in terms of the moral fabric, how deep, how bad has the moral fabric of our country gone?
Yeah, thank you, Comrade Kidega and moderator. I want to tell you that in the Daily Monitor of Friday, June 8, 2019, the IGG came out and told people that says the corrupt are powerful, and whenever they attempt to pursue them, they fight back and often win the fight. So he's telling us thieves hide behind Museveni, says IGG. Now, that tells you that these corrupt officials are highly protected. You know, I've also have a problem with the president. You know, you can come on public and declare some threatening words to the corrupt. But in real action, he always go mute. So you also need to now start actually handle this corrupt in a radical way. Back tomorrow, you know, as people, the morals guide us in whatever places and all the institutions that you are in. Now, even the institution that we expect that they could do much in actually shaping the morals, standards of behaviors of people, they are, in other words, doing the worst because they are actually being infiltrated by this corrupt tendency. We see, I've been seeing some few months ago, I was seeing the Speaker of the country meeting religious leader, bishop. He started by meeting the bishop of northern Uganda, has diocese. He went to Teso, Lango, Karamoja. So, and you know, when they're greeting her, you see how the priest could bend down. You see, it really portrays a certain pictures to people who really understand this, that there is something somewhere not right with our religious institution. And also, you know, as the religious institution, we expect them to do much in helping the people in the community. But also, you know, many of them are actually engaged rather than preaching the words of God, than actually engaging themselves in politics.
In politics. Actually, I saw in, is it Tororo?
Yeah.
Where this week, the Archbishop of Bukendi was telling people to let the minister, Honorable Jacob Oboth,
yeah,
to run unopposed.
Yes. So that tells you because you know many of these religious institutions, they're in politics. They have engaged in politics. Why? Because these government officials, we have them. You know, they are influential in their areas. Now, by capturing them, if you capture the bishop or if you capture the priest in certain church, he will go and sing with your name and actually tell the congregation that Honorable Kidega is a very good person, please vote for him. And you know, more of them are followed. Yeah. So actually, at the moment now, the state have captured the religious institution and also the key politicians and actually other government officials have captured them to the extent they cannot come out openly to criticize any kind of bad things being done in the state, whether it be corruption, whether it be maybe human rights violation. They could not do it. Why? Because they always says you can't bite the hands that feed you. Many of them are given money. Many of them are given these envelopes. So they will not do anything much. So we have where is given cars? Yes, they're given cars.
Yeah,
yes,
they're given cars.
Yes, and
gift
yeah, they're given gift. Like for us, one time I was in Arua, they were installing Archbishop Odoki. The president sent the minister for labor. She went there with an envelope of 20 million. 20 million, you gotta think that the president is sending this money. So that tells you, can that priest tell people bad things? Maybe if the state is doing, he cannot. Because now, they've been looked in a situation that the only thing is get the money, do what I am telling you to do. And also, you have been seeing many often times the president is seeking meetings with the religious leaders. And in that meeting, they don't even advise the president what to do. But you tell them they are seeking them to support him in maybe politics time. So, unless, I've not seen this one quite often with the Muslim fraternity. And I need to do my own research and understand. But with the Catholic and the Anglican, it is very serious and it is actually more. So we need also to revise. That's why I'm actually, my prayer is like to the young people, even the young people who are doing the preaching like that, the religious institution, they need to change the narrative. They need to change the way things have been looked. Because many of these priests that they're aging. Some of them are 60s, some of them are 80s. So they don't now, they're actually in the same age bracket with the people who are now taking up the leadership in this country. So if the young people also come up and change the narrative, I think Uganda will change. And actually, we also encourage them not to fall victims of the circumstances of what is being done by the current leadership. Also, I want to also take it like in the moral. Also, our cultural institution can also play a critical role in shaping morals, standard of behaviors of people. But also, I've seen that the president is giving 600 million, 60 million per month to all the cultural leaders.
Yes.
So that tells you even the cultural leaders will not do much. Will not do much. They are going to do worse because they are also more listened to and more followed to some extent, equally as the religious leaders. Because if a chief, like where I come from, if a paramount chief tell us that this thing is not good, this thing is bad, as young people who actually respect the king, respect the road, respect the Lewirodi like Finacholi, we can actually respect the decision and the voice he has given to the community. But in a situation where it's also captured, is the institution, the cultural institution is also being run by the state. Uganda now we are having a big problem that we need to revise. And also, you know, also in one way or the other, some of the religious institutions who come out openly and criticize what the states do, you'll see that in their cliques of religious leadership, also the one that come out to criticize certain action of corruption, they're actually not liked. Either they always plan fights on that particular individual, even in the institution. You get, even in the institution, the one that are not dancing to the tune of what is being what is taking place within the state. These people are actually not liked. So it tells you that now people will actually start falling that, and I cannot do much. I cannot do much. Unless we need to come out, we need to develop a radical mechanism of fighting corruption. But dialogue and talking, it will not work. It will not work.
Wow, interesting. Grace, let me come to you. And I just pointed out one element of civil society. But the civil society is actually a broad sector. It involves cultural institutions, religious institutions, it involves NGOs, all right? Now, in Kenya, Arap Moi found himself having to leave power, of course by many reasons, but part of which was the pressure that the NGO world and civil society had put on him. Let's speak about the NGO world today. As we know it, you know, gone are the days where the NGO world was so vibrant. Today, the parliamentary exhibition was led by an individual, Dr. Jim Sentongo Spire. You look at what Agatha Atuhaire is doing with all these, you know, activism, and these are private individuals. So what is happening to the NGO world? because the NGO world as we know it is a vibrant, you know, it is part of the fifth estate, but so vibrant, you know. But Uganda civil society, what exactly is wrong? Is it because of the nature of the regulations and how they are licensed by the NGO Bureau? You know, all these. So, what exactly is happening to NGOs? We are not seeing much of them, you know, in the fight against corruption.
Thank you so much. First and foremost, we all believe and think that NGOs should be independent entities. That is, they shouldn't really be too involved into the political part of the countries in which they operate. And I think that's why we have seen that in most instances they have come up to do great, to be vibrant, because they have not really, or they are not really supposed to be taking part in this other part of it. But I think they are also limited by, of course, what is imposed on them, depending on which countries they operate. And in this case, we are looking at our country, Uganda. So you find that what they're supposed to meet sometimes is hard for them to stand out and operate fully to the maximum. I think in most cases, the non-government organizations really have a lot in store for the countries in which they operate. For example, you have seen many, to mention them, you might spend a lot of time here, but they have come up to really help, let's say, provide free services, mentioning education, free education to young people, from down in primary even to university level. For example, the Black that has come up to provide education to the people, and many more support the elderly. We have seen the people with disabilities being helped by non-government organizations. But I feel like it is either what is happening in the country does not give most of them the zeal to operate within to the maximum or to the level in which they should operate, or they are being involved in what they are not supposed to be involved in. That is, if they are trying to dissolve or to be part of the governance, of which the governance has its own loopholes, you find that then their main objective, they are not concentrating on their main objective. And I think that's what explains why it's not as vibrant as we expect it to be, or as it used to be in the past times. Yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you. Richard, as we take a short commercial break, I will end with you. The break is that point number 7 of the 10 points program of the NRM was the fight against corruption and abuse of power. So the question is there, do you see political goodwill in the leadership of this country? Is there political goodwill to fight corruption?
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, as I always say here, that we are good at actually setting good programs and including the 10 points that we have. So in Uganda, to be honest, we are in a state of dilemma in 2 ways. One, we are in a state of confusion where the state does not know who to follow. And the citizen actually does not know who to follow. I'll take myself looking at the president himself and actually looking at the width of the PLU and actually General MK. You know, the state and the citizen actually, people are actually in a state of confusion who to follow and which message to be followed. You know, like coming out of the president and actually failing to associate himself with the corrupt and actually giving that is going to know the way how to fight them. The NRM work in a very systematic way, in a very diplomatic way. Those that are in the court, the evidence will come and actually will be worked on. So for those that are being accused, they're getting the evidences. So, and yet, people know in public that people are stealing. People are stealing, but now for you come and neutralize the wave of the people, the citizen in fight against corruption. And also, people are confused because in certain time, the president are actually not clear on in specific messages he give out to people. That's why right now as a state and as a citizen, even people who are within the state, there are those that are aligning themselves with the president, that are loyal to him and listen to his message and his communication. Then there are certain people also within the state and the citizen who are actually loyal to the Patriotic League movement, to the General Hemke, and it's bringing a lot of confusion. And actually now to make it worse, even right now the speaker is also having followers. People who are now loyal to her. Because honestly, you cannot contradict the head of the state's communication that he has made. That's a big blunder. But yes, he can confidently and contradict and without fear. She has no fear. Assuming this is maybe in a means government, what, Comrade Kidega and the moderator, what do you think will take place? The speaker come and contradict the information given by the head of the state, and even the president is quiet. So it tells Uganda and other thing, this fight against corruption, it is a planned thing that is just concoction. I can say it, that the president is trying to tell the public that, we are fighting. We are fighting and we are going to handle. But here has come a speaker who make a contradiction. It tells us clearly that the political party and the NRM government have no good will in fighting corruption. Because the NRM government will not pierce their highs, their own highs. They will not do it. Look at this, who is the speaker? Is the speaker FDC? Is he stealing? No. Look at people who benefited from the commissioner award. Noop tried their best. And you know where Mpuga is. And I give credit to them because they stood the ground and at least openly and Mpuga got. And Mpuga was actually handled. But now, why is the other time the MPs, section of MPs in parliament, they brought the censure motion. The government chief whip came and they want to first consult the head of the state. For what? The head of state in a public says, I don't want to associate myself with your commission thing. You saw that one.
Yes.
So it tells us that the government and the state and the NRM as a political party has no goodwill. Because if, and I'm even doubting, I think that, even some opposition and NRM MPs who are signing this motion, many were called. And actually, many were actually threatened even. We saw their messages and the information was very clear. So if the evidence is there that the money was stolen, particular person is the one who is responsible for it, I think the head of state could come and disassociate himself, leave alone the aspect of party. Because it's not good to keep rotten tomatoes with good ones. All of them are going to be rotten.
True.
We can uproot the rotten one, throw them away, and they face the penalties of the corruption. It will also give fear, and it will actually make them to actually, even if they will steal at that level, and it will not actually be as much as we see right now, because they will fear to be actually handled in a court of law with the penalties of the corruption that the country have established. But if the fountain of honor, I call him, the president, is not bold to come openly and handle this and make these people to actually face the penalty. For those that are in Roman, for those that have been remanded to serve their time, and actually the properties that they have even request to be confiscated, it will actually open eyes of even people who are at the verge of stealing right now. So the head of state will come openly and handle this. And also the judiciary should also be neutral. Because now by the speech of the speaker in Luengo, tell us clear that the judiciary will not do much. Because even I don't know if the Chief Justice might have seen that, but if he has seen, it is now a total insult to the entire judiciary that I think the judiciary will not do much. because telling people doing that she's going to come back and she's going to be an MP forever, which means the person is not going to be in jail. The person will come on, which means the powers of the judiciary have been questioned. And also, if the president is still quiet over this issue, because he's the one who appoint the Chief Justice, and the Chief Justice is the one who aids all these judiciaries, we have them, he will not do much. And it's the time I request this to be independent enough to actually uproot these corrupt officials and make them have the penalties. I want to also, I think, and also other political parties we have, it should not only be noob to actually come out openly to fight. All the political parties, they should actually come and make their stand very clear. I'm not seeing FDC doing much, they are quiet. I'm not seeing ANT doing their very best in this, they are quiet. And they are seeking powers. Are they telling us they will also get powers and they do the same thing if they are not annulling this?
Condemning it.
Yes, they should condemn it, and actually that will help us, because this country is not only for the NRM government. Even people who are not subscribing to the NRM, this country belongs to them. So we should not allow the fight to only a few sections of the activists that we have that are doing their best. I submit.
Okay, we are due for a short commercial break, and don't move a muscle. We shall be back still on the issue that affects all of us, corruption, then also shall delve into the issue of the NEMA evictions.
Yeah.
See you after this.
Digital rights are those human rights and legal rights that allow individuals to access, use, create and publish digital media, or to access and use computers, other electronic devices and telecommunication networks. Digital rights include a right to freedom of expression, information and communication through technology, a right to privacy and data protection, a right to credit for personal works, a right to universal and equal digital access, a right to identity, a right to anonymity, a right to be forgotten, and a right for protection of minors, among others. The state's digital rights are frequently violated through various unfair actions, for example, blockage of websites and social networks, theft of credentials, unauthorized use of people's data for personal gain, privacy intrusion, online censorship, arrests and intimidation of online users, internet blockages, and the proliferation of laws and regulations that undermine the potential of technology to drive social, economic, and political development worldwide. It is hence every citizen's responsibility to respect rights of other digital users and to speak out or report to the responsible parties when one's rights are violated.
We'll be back from that short commercial break. So, Grace, let's just continue from where we stopped. And the question is about institutions. Is that the institutions that are charged with the mandate to fight corruption, such as the judiciary, the Parliament of Uganda, because it performs oversight on the executive, but also you look at the IGG, the State House Anti-Corruption Unit. I don't know why exactly are these institutions not performing. Is the mandate of the IGG being redundant because you have the State House Anti-Corruption Unit, but also the judiciary? Is it because its independence hangs in the balance? The Parliament, why is it lacking the capacity to perform oversight? Because corruption, mind you, is not just money moving hands. There is corruption in public service, the means through which people get jobs. All that is part of corruption. The way through which people get contracts, government contracts, they have to, negotiate. And so institutions, why are institutions not able to perform oversight and, really try and address the issues of corruption? Yet they have the mandate.
Thank you so much. First and foremost, we realize that there are many institutions that have been put in place. Some were previously there, and then others have come up. For example, the Anti-Corruption Unit, and many more have always come up. But I want to say that honestly, it is difficult to fight something that you are. Because we realize that most of those institutions, they are the forefront of corruption. And like you said, corruption is not just the embezzlement that we are seeing up there, corruption goes down below to the LOC1 level. The moment you want to get just a writing from the LOC1, it goes back to the district, and then up where we see it right now. Though we tend to focus on up where it is, but even in these other institutions, in the local governments, to mention but a few, there is corruption and it still affects as equally as it affects in the upper institutions. So I want to say that these institutions that have been put in place to fight corruption have really failed, not because they don't have what it takes to fight corruption, because they have all the authority, they have been mandated to do exactly that they have been put in place for. But the vice has really grown to the extent that even the unit that is put in place to fight that same corruption, we end up seeing loopholes concerning corruption in the shortest time possible. So we realize that it is a waste of time, if I may say, sorry to say, because I don't think that putting up many institutions to fight corruption will fight corruption indeed. I don't even think that these words that we are mentioning here will fight corruption. I feel like something has to be done. Like he was saying, this basket that is full of our tomatoes, most of them are rotten. And now the smaller percentage, really, it is also going because they are sharing the same space. For example, in a scenario where you find that on the unit, if there is a board of 10 members, 5 of them are culprits, or they have been involved in corruption in one way or the other, it will be hard for the 5, on the other hand, to fight on their own. So I don't think that there should be more institutions, or they should really try to focus on those. I feel like something has to be done. And that is, there should be, at least they should instill fear in people that this is a bad vice, because indeed it is. It is a disease, it is a cancer that is affecting us, because even many scholars have come up to indicate that Uganda is among the most corrupt. And it is saddening because we are still a developing country and we are being faced with such a big vice. So I feel like, to mention the parliament and those other institutions, it is really not helping.
Do you think if we change the mode of appointment of, for example, the Chief Justice, or because the Chief Justice, as it stands, the constitutional provision is that the Chief Justice is appointed by the President, and even, the High Court judges. So, to achieve total independence of these institutions, do you think maybe the mode of appointment needs to change? Maybe you can take the Kenya approach, because Kenya, there's actually a lot of public involvement. It is not a backdoor activity. The people have to vet you before you become Chief Justice. So, therefore, the judicial officers will feel accountable to the people and not to the appointing authority. So, are those some of the things that you think need to change? That even the person, the IGG, needs to be, like either voted for by the people, so that they have mandate from the people. There they will act independently, knowing that I am here because of the people, and it is them who I have to appease, not anyone else.
Thank you so much. I think that is one of the points on how it should be done, because I think that is why people have come up to really put up democracy, to avoid such instances. But before we look into that, I think if we are to take that route, then people should be sensitized first, because we realize that most of the Ugandans don't know their roles or how they can contribute to what is taking place in the country. For example, we look at the district levels. There's been a lot of funding that has been really taken from the district level, to mention funding to support people with disabilities, the youth money. There is a lot. But because people are not informed, and because people are not aware of what they are entitled to, you find that those district officials have really shared the privileges within themselves. So you realize that even if power is really equally distributed to the people or put out there for the people to choose, still if they are not sensitized, they will be corrupted into who to choose. We have seen people come up, they are distributing 1,000 Uganda shillings and people are voting. And even before we go there, we have seen that people have voted MPs, but MPs are on the bigger percentage that is participating in such scandals. So I think, yeah, you're right, we should use that approach. It would help because they will be mandated or they will be answerable to the people that have sent them. But I feel like before we go there, people should first be sensitized on who to really vote and what it takes and their authority or what they're entitled to as Ugandans. Because I believe that Uganda is for all, regardless of the titles, regardless of who you are. So long as you're a Ugandan, you have authority. Thank you so much.
All right, Richard, as we conclude the topic, I'll just invite us to give parting shots on the issue of corruption. But also, the question that just lingered in my mind is, will the people of Rakai go for an election because the speaker has already imposed on them an MP forever? So I don't know. Okay, I don't know who to vote next election. I don't know. But yes, just in a minute, give us your parting shots on the corruption question. Then we move to NEMA.
Yeah, you see, it is very painful on the aspect of corruption. You know, Uganda, as a country, we came from far. And, you know, the president was very bitter, giving his speech that people shed their blood for them to reach where we are now. And also there are those who never contributed anything. I can give you an example. Anita has not done much to the state, to be honest. She was in FDC the other day. She was the one, I think she was among the people who were opposing the government too much when she was in FDC. And one time I have a clip was very bitter on the issue of corruption in the floor of parliament. She was very bitter and actually very determined to fight corruption. But now, here she comes, she's in the system, she's now doing the contrary of what she was debating about. So, unless the president needs to see these issues very critical, because you see, you cannot fight for peace the way he said, and he always says. You cannot liberate a country and actually at the age where he is, he won the liberation struggle he has done, to just die like that with the issue of corruption. You know, he always told us he has gone to bush with few people and he must be victorious. I actually believe fighting a mere corruption in a country and with the more times, yes, he has been in the bush fighting, I think he could do much in fighting this corruption. And also, I also want him to actually appreciate those that he has served. Because the truth is, what is taking place as corruption is concerned. Many of these people who are still alive, who brought Uganda where it is, they are not happy of what is taking place. Because tell me which speakers had benefited like the speaker. You see, even the speaker that has died, may his soul rest in peace. You have seen. It was not corrupt as what is taking place in the parliament. Even the corruption, even during Kadaga's time, the corruption was not alarming to this extent. I think even the aspect of the allowances that we see was not really as much as it is. I don't know what the idea is. Could it be the president is looking at the current speaker as the only person who could make a transition a peaceful one, because we have even seen from the other side, he has accepted a transition with the DP party president. I don't know. Would it be that the speaker is also is going to be used to, in certain point in parliament, to actually front certain agenda. That's why she's not harsh on her. If those are the fundamental questions, so those will actually be cleared to the people of the country, so that now the citizen knows what to be done, either not to vote her, or there are certain ways the youngsters and other people could come out to actually condemn this, because it's not really nice. And I actually therefore request that there's also a tendency that we have not talked about. We have been seeing this in very many parts of institutions and other entities, whereby if you want to get something, there's this aspect of giving kickback. This is now very common. Like what is taking place, you see that we have, I think, 54 million installation of telecommunication something, and the speaker is getting 5 million per month over that project. See, he's alone getting that money. So it tells us clearly that there are actually highest level of a thing, even nepotism that has come, whereby you see this person is related to this one, and the person is placed here. Even if the person has committed this aspect of corruption, the person cannot be convicted. Why? Because the brother is there, a sister is there. That one should be stopped. That is also a very clear line of what we are seeing. But as I also conclude on the issues of corruption, Uganda as a country, we are actually being mocked, the entire East Africa. What is really taking place within the few months in as far as corruption issues is concerned? And actually, I also pray that the corruption issues cause other politicians not to come back to the parliament, or not even to take another public position. Because even the citizens will now realize this person has gone there, she's stealing, and your hospital, you don't have drugs, the person is stealing, you still want to vote the person back. Then we are also our author of our misfortune, as P.L. Lumumba has always said. Because we are the people who always give mandate to. The citizens should first see who is this? Who is this person coming to be an MP of the area? Well, they should be having this kind of height to see that if this person fits enough to represent us, or we are taking someone who is actually going there because they want to seeking for wealth and actually want to change status in their family and himself or herself. Citizens should get to know this. You know, when we talk like this, people say now people with, and also people with money. By the time someone come and inject a lot of money during campaign, ask yourself, when will the person recover this money? And now, if you give them the mandate, they come, and what they will do for the last 2 to 3 years, they will recover the money. And in the process of recovery, you are going to steal. They will steal a lot of money, and the 2 years remaining, they will see them start going to their consequences, like they are delivering services. And the 3 years they have been stealing. So I believe that corruption needs a radical strategies right now. It's not all about now dialogue. I think if it's in other country, I saw over Burkina Faso, I saw the Minister of Finance was handed over to the public, where the money got missing, and you saw how the public handled the person. And he came out open, the money is there. So I also believe if we get you stealing, I think there should be a radical way of handling. If the community could go to your place and actually demonstrate and actually pull what is there, so that they feel the bitter pain. Thank you.
Wow, interesting. Yes, Grace, your parting shots on the corruption topic.
Thank you so much. As we conclude on this topic, of course, many people have talked about corruption, and we continue to talk because that is our role. I feel like corruption, despite the fact that it is one of the significant challenges in most African countries, but to be specific, in Uganda, like my comrade was saying, there should be really practical ways on how it should be handled. Because unless we come out with those solutions, unless we come out with a way in which the government or even the people themselves can put out there and expose everyone engaged in such instances, there will be no end to corruption. And so I think we should continue engaging, and the government, or even the people responsible, should come out not to try to sugarcoat the people that are participating in these things, because honestly, they are being sugarcoated. Like the instance that we started with, someone is involved in such a thing, and then someone stands out there and says that they're going to be leaders for the rest of their lives. In such a situation, you find that they are trying to really put up a face to paint a good picture of the person. And what is it giving? What is the picture that is being displayed? People who are there, who have even a heart of engaging in such stuff, they will be like, there is nothing being done. And so what will stop them from participating in such? So I feel like they should really put up tough measures to point out, if it means imprisonment, if it means those people having to pay the funds that they have misused, if it means putting out or making them lose their jobs. For example, those people who want something before they perform the services that they're meant to perform. So in conclusion, I feel like the system should really put up measures and actually go ahead and implement them, the measures of which are supposed to actually get rid of corruption rather than sugarcoating the entire thing.
Yeah.
I submit.
Wow, interesting. Well, let's get the final part of this conversation, which is on the NEMA evictions. It has caused so much public outcry, and we have seen either videos or pictures of NEMA demolishing people's infrastructure. So the question is, where was NEMA? Or because I even saw a lady who had an entire building work plan approved by KCC. So KCC, at the time of approving these buildings, didn't they know that these were actually wetlands that are not supposed to be constructed over? Because wetlands are catchment, the water catchment areas, you know, that enable us that during times of rain, we are able to resist some of the vast effects of heavy rainfall. So, Richard, I'll just begin with you. What do you make of the situation?
Yeah, thank you so much. You know, Uganda is now, I don't know what is really taking place. You know, there is a NEMA, there's also Kampala City Authority. Before me as Richard, I buy a land in a specific place that I equally know that this place is in wetland. NEMA always issues license and an authority or permission for you to either construct or do certain whatsoever business you want to do in this particular place. But someone has constructed a house, he has been there for more than 10 to 15 years, and you wake up one day, you're demolishing a building.
Without even compensation.
Without even compensation. And it tells us that there has been people within the system who are cracking deals with the people who do construction there. And now maybe some of the goodwill people who are within the system, who are now seen and they try to verify the kind of the buildings, why the people have constructed buildings, or maybe even the misunderstanding that might have come from within the system, from two people. Maybe the person has not benefited from the share of the money given, and that prompted the construction of that building. The person can even wake up and order for eviction. And that is what we are seeing. Because why would someone construct in a wetland for more than 10 years? Who gave the person? And these people who are even crying, they're saying they have been given the instruction to construct here. Because even if you are myopic like what, people cannot be ignorant enough to construct in a wetland if they are not being given permission. So it tells us that there is actually a linkages between NEMA and the city authority, because the two must work together for that building to stand.
Sure.
And they're telling us that they are the one accepting that, and now they're trying to realize. Me, I'm thinking maybe even with the wave of corruption that have come, they're now trying to maybe organize themselves trying to appear nice before the corruption issue catches with them. Because why have they gone silent before? Until now. Many of these people, they were there. Like a lady, she even, she stayed there in our place. She produced, I think, 4 children in that place. And you come and you just demolish that building. So it really tells us that there is weaknesses within the system that need to be organized. And also we need to know who are these people who are leading, who are in the leadership of NEMA. How did they get there? Who gave them the mandate? Who vetted them? That is, should be a chairperson or a director NEMA. Who? So that question also the citizens should get to know. How do someone qualify to work in KCC? How? Who are the people who recommend them? Is there any vetting committee or a committee that verify the ability, the competency, and the capability of these members who are working there? With integrity, with question of integrity as well. Because this should be very clear. They are going to serve the interests of the people, and if they are doing the contrary of what we are seeing right now, you don't want to compensate someone, and yet you are the person who have authorized them to construct there. So all this also, in one way or the other, link us to the issue of corruption yes. And also the aspect of nepotism. Because if you go to NEMA and see the people who are working there, more or less are same people in the same, if not, let me zero it to tribe and certain part of region in this country. So it tells you that there is something wrong. And also I request somebody have to investigate what really takes place in NEMA. The IGG should also open their eyes in these issues. They should enter deep in knowing what really transpires in NEMA and what is the relationship with NEMA and the KCC in handling these particular issues. Then I believe at the end of the day, the IGG will come out with a report regarding this matter. And the truth will come out. Yeah.
Wow, interesting. Grace, so many people have been left homeless, and there are still more who are going to find themselves homeless as NEMA continues to demolish this building. So in such a situation, where is the win-win? Because I agree there is need for us to preserve the environment, okay? Because we are in the era of climate change and things like that. So we cannot deny the need to protect the environment. But again, who was negligent from the word go? Who approved these constructions that gave permission for people to construct their buildings that now, so who is culpable in this situation? But also, should the government fast track the issue of compensation before you go ahead to demolish my infrastructure? But also, does this fall within the logical auspices of compensation? Because compensation, what I know, it happens when government is taking over. Let's say government wants to construct a road here. They can construct the road, then they compensate the owner of this property. But now, in the case where they are demolishing and saying that you constructed here illegally, then maybe they are not under duty to compensate you. But I mean, it's a lot of thinking that has to happen. But the point is, how do we proceed from this point?
Thank you so much, Comrade Kidega. The NEMA issue is really saddening, and we have seen what is taking place in the country. It's a bit emotional while watching it, but on the contrary, we must admit the need to protect the environment. We must keep in mind that environmental conservation is very important, because we can't deny the climate change issues that come with it, or that come with neglecting the environment. And so, with that being said, you know, in my language they have a saying that meaning you have remembered to cover yourself in the morning. You have slept the whole night. Exactly. So I feel that is the case with NEMA. They have been quiet, though I saw a clip somewhere, Mr. Richard, I think he's in charge of natural resource and all that, of NEMA. He was pointing out that these people have been forewarned. Yes, right. Let's assume my grandfather was forewarned, but he had his land. That was his place of residence. He had nowhere to go, and
But-
maybe probably didn't get someone to sell that land.
Mm.
So he left, and here I am. It was something back then. So when they use such an excuse that people were informed, it really doesn't sit well with me. I feel like it shouldn't stop at that one, because if you come and say shift, when I don't have what it takes to shift, trust me, I will not.
Mm.
And it's not that I'm becoming big-headed, or I'm not listening to what is being told. It's because you have not put in place ways in which I should do that thing.
Mm.
So like I was saying, keeping in mind that environmental conservation is important, we should also not forget that Ugandans, like we said, this is their country, and they have human rights. So it really gives a bad image when you just come out of the blue and demolish and really destroy people's belongings, destroy where they have lived for years, and make them homeless in an instant. I feel like they should have improvised other means. That is to say, they should have put in place areas, because there are areas. The same guy, Mr. Richard from NEMA, was saying that they were asking him about the issue of stabbings. And he was like, and the police station, he was like, they're trying to find where they can transfer it to so that they can remove it. But I was saying, if they can do that for those things, why can't they do it for the humans? Because this is their country, and I believe they can get where to fix them, not just making them homeless in one day. So I feel like the human rights have been really neglected concerning this issue, and the people have not been served well. Because when you look at the clips, there was an old lady, and she was crying. She didn't have where to go. She's in her very old age. And I was wondering, really, is this the Uganda which brings about, let's say, even people from other countries to claim refuge here, that cannot get a place, preserve it for its own people, in case they want to protect the environment, of which they should. So I feel like, yes, NEMA is trying to do its duties, though it's too late, but yeah, they should come on board and serve what they are told to do. For example, when we look at the reforms of the NEMA Act 2019, they shouldn't neglect their duties, but then how are they doing it? Are they really putting into consideration the people, or they are just doing it to put a face that they're active? Yeah, so that is what I think should be done.
Wow, interesting. We have only 1 minute to be out of here, so I'll give you each 30 seconds to just give us parting shots. Just look to the camera, and in 30 seconds, your parting shots. Richard, then you.
Yeah, thank you so much. The aspect of NEMA, there's the irregularities of land allocation. So those will be, there's something I wanted to bring in. And also the bribery and extortion of money. Because why is that the poor people, their homes are evicted? I've never seen maybe a rich person in this country or someone holding public office, the house is being evicted. So it tells us that they might have actually, that land might have actually been sold to someone who is big in the state, and they want to evict that person so that the person leave the land. And also, there are also rumors that I'm hearing that some officials of NEMA are also extorting money and actually accepting the bribe. So if they give you, go and evict the home for maybe the speaker, you don't go and do it because you fear the person is powerful. So that is also a big, that's why we have seen poor people are the one crying on the issues of eviction. Yeah, thank you so much, Civic Space, for the host. I'd love to be back here again. This is a good platform for the young people, and I request the viewers to keep sharing and keep following Civic Space each and every time. Thank you so much.
Wow, interesting. Grace, your parting shots.
Thank you so much. As I part, I want to still give my final remarks on the NEMA issue, as the Constitution of Uganda, Article 39, states that the government is obliged to ensure that Ugandans have access to a clean environment. We want to say that yes, we know the reforms of NEMA and we know what it is supposed to do, but that it should first consider the human rights in its operations. That is to say, they should put up places for the people whose homes are being demolished, such that they do not become slaves or even homeless in their own country. Thank you so much for hosting us. My name is Grace Nuwahereza once again. I'm the Guild Speaker Mountains of the Moon University, and I would be glad to be here once again. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Grace, for your time. Of course, to the producers, thank you for ensuring that this show airs right at 2 p.m. Today, I have no parting shots myself, but wish you a lovely Wednesday. Until next week, same time, same place. Bye-bye.